How's it going, everyone? It's Savi from Mother SpongeBob. Today is May 11th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the potential for severe weather in the southeast, where we could experience damaging winds and large hail, as well as the next potential severe weather threat that could impact the Great Plains and the heart of the Midwest into this weekend. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather reports. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather reports. So let's begin by taking a look at the GFS model as of right now, and you see we have that well-defined dip in the jet stream that's pretty much bringing a lot of cold air to the northeastern portion of the United States, including the Midwest, where we do see that 540 millibar contour line dip down, which represents that we're seeing cooler than average temperatures all throughout the northern United States. So as a result, we are seeing a little bit of convection along with this jet stream flow right here, where there is some air, where there is just enough unstable air in this region to have at least a good amount of humidity throughout this region. It isn't enough unstable air to create a massive rainfall event, but it is enough to at least keep the humidity at a certain level throughout the southern United States. And you see that we do see some rain showers right around the Rocky Mountains and extending to Texas and a lot of the southeast as well, along with this jet stream dip. If we take a look more forward, you see that we do have the chance of severe thunderstorms for today. However, first let's take a look at the next potential severe weather that could impact the Midwest later into this weekend. So if we begin by moving forward, you see the rain showers do eventually move out of the southeast, which is certainly good news because you guys don't want to see any more rainfall than what you guys already been experiencing. But if we move forward, you see that after the rain showers move out southeast, it's going to be mainly dry for a lot of the United States because we're going to see just this dominating ridge that's going to dominate most of the eastern half of the United States, and the western half of the United States is already in a pretty significant drought. So we already have a pretty dominating ridge in this region that's going to keep things dry for the most part for most of the lower 48. But however, that will change headed into this weekend once we do see an upper level low that's going to come from the Pacific Northwest and bring some rain showers and potentially thunderstorm activity throughout the Midwest and the Great Plains. So you see that moving forward, that upper level low moves further southwestward, and it encounters this ridge where it will promote this, and the pressure gradient between this upper level low and this ridge will promote at least some southerly winds from the Gulf Coast states to move up further northward. And of course, since the southerly states are much closer to the warm Gulf of Mexico, the dew points are much higher, the humidity is much higher further southward, and pretty much those southerly winds are going to steer all that warm air, all that very water vapor filled air further northward, that humid air further northward, and that could raise the concern of severe weather or at least a lot of rain activity throughout the Midwest. And for some areas in the Midwest, this might be great news because you guys already have been experiencing quite a dry year for the most part throughout the Midwest, especially when it comes to the severe weather season, because typically this is a month where a lot of the Midwest states would experience the most severe weather. But however, since it's been so dry, the severe weather outbreaks have been limited throughout the Midwest. However, that could change with this upcoming upper level low that's going to move down into Plains, like I've been talking about, where we do see another upper level low that's very weak at this point come down further southeastward, and bring more rain showers headed into the Saturday time frame into the Midwest states. And and you see that this upper level low does at some point become more formable. I suspect that it's due to the fact that it's gonna interact more with that very warm, humid air that's located right around the Gulf of Mexico, because the first upper level low that is coming through the United States is going to be a little bit too far up north to really interact with that very warm and unstable air mass that's closer to the southeast. However, the next upper level low is expected to move further southwestward as a result of just upper level winds moving southwesterly, despite a ridge dominating throughout this region. So we're gonna see this low be forced further southeastward. I meant to say, not southwestward, and you see that as this low pressure system moves further southeastward, there's going to be a strong pressure gradient within the lower levels of the atmosphere between this ridge and this low pressure system. That's eventually going to evolve into a surface low by how much it's real, how low the pressure is getting in the lower levels as a result of this pressure gradient, and we're going to see more thunderstorm activity throughout the Midwest states, and this could and some of these storms could be severe depending on how much unstable air there will be in this region. However, if you look at the forecast hour, this is 138 hours out, which is nearly 6 days out. So there's still a lot of time to iron out the forecast completely, as we still don't know the exact location of this trough, how far south or how far north this will be, especially when we're forecasting it 6 days out, or how powerful this trough will be, because that'll be another huge determinant. Because if this trough is too weak, then it's less likely we're going to see that strong southerly flow bring that humid air to the Midwest to induce a severe weather threat or a more widespread severe weather threat into the southeast. However, think at this point, things aren't looking very good when it comes to prevent when it comes to not experiencing severe weather in the Midwest, as it's becoming increasingly likely that we're going to see at least some sort of rain event in the Midwest that could pose a threat of severe weather to a lot of these states, which have been quite in a drought when it comes to severe weather outbreaks throughout the Midwest. And you see that eventually headed into the 6 day mark, you see the low pressure definitely becomes a lot more formidable, because right behind it there comes another trough and a decent jet stream dip that's going to be too far up north to make it, let's say, an extremely major severe weather outbreak, but just enough to create an even more formidable low pressure system as a result of the cold air creating a more unstable air mass in this region to create just more convection and lift in the atmosphere. So we need to keep a close eye on it. We're going to keep a close eye on this. The next few upper level lows are going to move through that will eventually culminate into this one major upper level low, and we need to also keep track of how far south this trough dips, because if it dips far south enough to a point where the cold air interacts more with that very humid air towards the southeast, then we could see a significant severe weather threat in the Midwest. However, if this trough doesn't move as south, and let's say this upper level low is a little bit weaker than anticipated, then we're less likely to see a major severe weather threat. So there's still a lot to unfold. However, based off of what the GFS model is saying, you're going to see that the GFS model is forecasting decent CAPE levels throughout the Midwest, which includes Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma and Texas are deep into the higher CAPE level ranges, where you're seeing CAPE levels close to 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is quite a lot of lift in the atmosphere when we're talking about this much convective available potential energy. So we need to keep in mind we need to keep a close eye on the computer models over the next several days, because any changes could make a big difference in terms of how major this severe weather threat will be and how widespread this will be. What gives me more confidence that we will see some sort of severe weather threat in the Midwest is, for one thing, is that we're in the month of May, and it's almost more likely than not we're going to experience some sort of severe weather event with any sort of area of lower pressure, because this is typically the time where we see the most unstable air in the atmosphere. It is when we see the air just warm enough to support rapid updraft or lift activity, while being just cold enough to create a major severe weather threat. So as a result, And another thing is that too is that the European model is also forecasting pretty significant severe weather threat throughout the Midwest, and it's very similar in terms of the timing and in terms of the precipitation area of where the severe thunderstorms will be located. Because if we take a look at the 150-hour mark, the European model is leaning towards bringing a lot of thunderstorm activity throughout Kansas, Oklahoma, and even further eastward into the Ohio River Valley out. And the GFS model is very similar in terms of its forecast, where it's bringing the precipitation area in nearly the exact same areas as the European model. So there is higher confidence that we could see a pretty significant thunderstorm event that could dump heavy rain throughout the Midwest and bring severe weather. And since the GFS model is already forecasting CAPE levels to be elevated during this time frame, and it's pretty much mimicking what the European model is saying, we could also safely assume that the convective available potential energy levels in the European model are very similar to that of the GFS, since they have very similar precipitation. They have very similar radar interpretations over the next for the next 5 days. So we need to keep a close eye on it. Right now, the computer models are more lenient on bringing a severe weather event throughout the Midwest, which includes Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. But exactly how severe and who exactly this will impact, there's still a lot of questions that remain with that. However, I will say with confidence, more likely than not, we will experience some sort of severe weather threat somewhere in the Midwest, and how powerful that will be remains to be seen, and where exactly remains to be seen as well. But I will make sure to keep you guys updated over the next several days, because again, the severe weather threat could be major, and we need to keep a close eye on this. But outside of this severe weather threat in the Midwest, we also need to pay close attention to the severe weather potential that could occur today throughout the southeast. Taking a look at the Futurecast radar, so I'm recording this very late at night, right, or very early in the morning, right around 4:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, by the time you're watching this video, it will probably be 1 p.m. and you're gonna see, and this should be around the ballpark in terms of what the radar will look like by the time you're watching this video, where we do see thunderstorm activity begin to develop throughout the throughout the southeast, and this is as a result of a mid-level trough that's currently over western Texas, that's going to move eastward into Mississippi and Alabama later into Tuesday, overnight on Tuesday, and we're going to see that thunderstorm activity arise as a result of the small amount of unstable air that's going to be associated with this mid-level trough, and it's also going to be fueled by this stationary boundary that's located throughout the Gulf Coast states, that's expected to move more northward, and just south of this boundary is very humid air. So as a result, that we're gonna see this mid-level trough interact with that very humid air that's in the lower levels of the atmosphere, and that's really gonna create an area of strong lift that could induce not only heavy rain, but maybe the potential of severe weather. But there's still uncertainty regarding how much lift there will be in the atmosphere, how much convection there will be, because it really depends on the positioning, and the timing of where and when the thunderstorms will form. Because if it forms in the morning, then it could maybe make it could create some convection problems for thunderstorms that might want to form in the afternoon. So we just have to wait and see over the next several hours, as I do think there is still that possibility the severe weather threat could increase over the next several hours, despite being a relatively short-term forecast. And you see that. However, I will say with confidence that there should be a heavy rain threat throughout the southeast, where we do see a lot of rain and a flash flooding potential as a result of the amount of unstable air in this region, and a lot of convection and precipitation overall at a very fast, in a very short time span. And you see that taking a look at the 5 day rainfall forecast, you see that in Mississippi, Louisiana, and even Alabama, you could experience 2 to 4 inches over the next 5 days. And I'd say most of that rain will be within the next 24 hours. So you do not want to underestimate how much rainfall you receive just because it's a 5 day forecast because most of the rainfall should fall within the next 24 hours. So you guys throughout the southeast need to keep a close eye on it. And flash flooding certainly could be a possibility associated with these thunderstorms. So keep a close eye on that. And in terms of the risk of severe weather throughout the southeast, if you're in the yellow, I'd say at this point the chance of you experiencing a severe thunderstorm are slight. However, if there is severe thunderstorm, damaging winds and large hail should be expected. But keep in mind that there is a possibility that we could see the severe weather threat increase depending on the position and of this stationary boundary and this mid-level trough that's going to move eastward. We just have to wait and see over the next several hours. So be prepared if in case of any major severe weather, severe thunderstorm that could occur in your area because there's certainly still that possibility. And I want you guys to stay safe and be prepared for that. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys have a good day.